for 2 weeks from now, if you can do the Google Hangout setting to be a longer time and perhaps make it start 15 minutes or a half an hour early so we can make sure that it sends out its emails early enough. Does that make sense?
Certainly. I'll have Mark coordinate whatever his preferences are, and I'll make that happen.
Thank you so much, Lauren.
Thank you, Lauren. You are fantastic at helping to make this possible. Appreciate it.
Pleasure
For all
to
the technologically challenged individuals, including myself, we appreciate your help.
His link worked. Thank you, Ben. His little link on the side of the Google Hangout page.
Oh, wonderful.
Okay. I'm glad. Good.
Well, welcome everyone. We're going to begin here. I know we're beginning a little bit late, so we'll have an opportunity to cover everything. But we're going to talk about this is the Crest 1 Hour Mastermind, and we'll begin with the way that Andrew Carnegie started each and every single one of his 1 Hour Masterminds with the Crest, the Carnegie Open, a round of gratitude. Everyone gets 7 minutes. A SMART goal, which stands for specific, measurable, attainable, rewarding, and time-based goal. And then the Carnegie Close. So we're excited to have everyone on the call here today. So let's begin with the Carnegie Open. We read words of Andrew Carnegie that he used to open his own in-home mastermind. I release. I release myself to the mastermind because I am strong when I have others to help me. I believe. I believe the combined intelligence of the mastermind creates a wisdom far beyond my own. I understand. I understand that I will more easily create positive results in my life when I am open to looking at myself, my problems, and opportunities from another's point of view. I decide. I decide to release my desire totally and trust to the mastermind, and I am open to accepting new possibilities. I forgive. I forgive myself for mistakes I have made. I also forgive others that have hurt me in the past so I can move into the future with a clean slate. I ask the mastermind to hear what I really want, my goals, my dreams, and my desires, and I hear my mastermind partners supporting me in my fulfillment. I accept. I know, relax, and accept, believing that the working power of the mastermind will respond to my every need. I am grateful knowing this is so. So as we just finished up the Carnegie round opening here, let's move into the round of gratitude. So Vicky, you were the right next to me here on the little bar, so let's just move from right to left. So Vicky, what would you like to say, the one thing that you're grateful for today?
I'm grateful for Lauren and Ben getting me in the call. Thank you. And if it's possible, if I can get my 7 minutes first, I'll explain what the note summary is in case I get taken away early.
Wonderful. Sounds great. Thank you so much. Lauren, we'll move on to you. What was one thing that you were grateful for?
I'm grateful this week for teachers that build up a child's individual spirit, ones that act upon different styles of learning and shape their methods to honor all students for wisdom, independence, and co-creation.
Wonderful. Okay, moving from right to left here, we'll move on to, is it Michelle?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Thanks. I'm having a couple technical difficulties here with my camera still.
No problem.
I am grateful to be healthy. It's a beautiful day. I'm grateful for spring and the reminder that everything is reborn and that there's always another chance.
Wonderful. Thank you. John?
I am grateful to be, in some occasions, the person in a kid's life who says positive things about them when others do not.
Wonderful. Very, very much needed. Thank you so much. Galen?
Yeah, sorry about that. Good to be back with you guys. I am grateful to be back in the South and grateful that it will be a brief stay and I'm soon moving on to places that innovate at a faster clip.
Wonderful. Okay, welcome. And Ben?
Thank you. Presently, I'm grateful for the smell of grass in the air.
Ah, very nice. I like that. That smells great. Wonderful. And for me, it's I'm grateful to be grateful. I know that's almost an interesting piece, but it's taking the time to really be grateful for the things that we do have, and not necessarily the things that we don't have. So just being grateful for the act of gratitude. So as we move on to the next piece here, everyone gets 7 minutes. And so within that 7 minutes, we're going to go to yes or no on last week's SMART goal, talk about the category of a question, and then asking your specific question for the mastermind to answer. So Vicky has expressed to be number 1.
And
so,
Mark, I'm going to jump in a little bit, if I may, before
yes.
Vicky, and simply, last time I think we agreed that the structure of the traditional Crest 1 Hour Mastermind needs to kind of go out the window a little bit, and that we might not necessarily have a question for the group, that with our SMART goal, it might be simply reporting to the group. It might be a question, but that it's a little bit different than that traditional Crest 1 Hour Mastermind, and I'll follow your lead. I just wanted to bring up that people might not necessarily start with a question. They might start by informing.
Perfect. Okay, thank you, Ben. Thank you for that clarification. Yes, we did speak about that last week, so thank you for clarifying that. All right, so Vicky, we'll start off with yes or no on last week's SMART goal.
Thank you, and I apologize because we do have this committed time. However, our house is completely torn apart in a remodel, which in 2 months will be lovely. Right now it's like a war zone, but I have all these contractors in the other room that surprised me, so I'm sorry for that. I had sent out to some of you, because there's some new attendees, some meeting notes. Mark and I were beta testing something called Meeting Hero. I note that you can't really bring it up and be on a Google Hangout at the same time, so I'll update it. And Mark, maybe if I have to leave, you can add to it. But we tried it, and I know some of you read it, and I'll just tell you what it is. It was our SMART goal, and Mark and I took on who could the collaborators be, and what are the connections of Peace Day with conscious capitalism. So these are our notes, and what we did is we just talked about themes, 40 years of peace, the Beatles' anniversary, give peace a chance. I think it was, I don't know, are they 50? Anyway, we just identified some themes that came up last time. Was create a globe with pieces that people and companies can sponsor and have their name on it. One of our artists suggested that. The action items, they're just in our notes, are ways to promote peace through conscious capitalism, through educating youth, as Lauren offered up. We have a paragraph in here on showing how peace is profitable and sort of identifying inner peace is synonymous with abundance and brings health and productivity and an individually to our healthcare crisis. So that could beg healthcare sponsors. Second, peace among people. Anyway, what all does this say? Anyway, the whole war theme. Third, peace with nature. Mother Earth is crying out. Look at global warming. We have resources to collaborate. Global solutions. What does collaboration take, however? A set of skills based on the feminine, and both male and females have feminine traits. What gets in the way of collaboration to solve the third issue? Peace with nature is ego, edging God out, which is fear and selfishness. And because so many businesses in the U.S. are small businesses, to Ben's idea of pledges, if each small business person lived and led it in a conscious way and committed to that, we would contribute to greater consciousness while earning enough to live on and achieving peace in those 3 areas.
As we look at this, as we're kind of wrapping up some things here, we have another about 3 or so minutes here. What would be helpful for the mastermind for us to help with this moving forward?
Right. So I was just going to get to that. I actually looked up on these notes the UN, what Peace Day is all about, just because we can wander too much with what peace is. But the subjects are there. So here's the decisions that we identified, getting right to that. Who is our target market? This will help define sponsors, because we talked about schools, cultural, artistic venues in Asheville that might have sister locations in Arizona. So that's first. Who's our target market?
Great.
Decide what our
So
goal.
would you like for us to just focus in on that for now? just who would our target market be? So is that the first question?
No, let's do this first, Mark.
Okay.
What is our goal? Is it just awareness, or is it beyond awareness?
Great question.
Yeah, just enhancing awareness.
Perfect. I'll throw that out to the group. Who would like to take that? Oh, Ben, looks like Ben's going to speak here. He's got his mic on.
Thank you. There is a goal that I would love to have that's not for 2014, that's for 2015. So often I like to think 2 years ahead or to think beyond our current context. And David Guerrero, who's a recent graduate of Arizona State University with a bachelor's in intermedia art, had a propositional art idea of asking people to stand up for peace at noon around every time zone, and in that way we would be co-creating the wave around the world as people stood up for peace.
Okay, so we would be co-creating. Okay, so creating kind of the focus of awareness around the world. Go ahead.
And that is a lot like what Global Coherence Initiative does too.
Cool. Maybe we want other people to have other ideas for goals for 2014. That was simply one that has been in my mind.
Wonderful. Thank you. Anyone else?
I might jump in on this one. Maybe the idea, or figuring out how to promote the practical use of peace in your everyday life within the communities. I recently left the mediation center and focuses on how to effectively solve conflicts, how to have effective communication and use compassionate listening in your everyday life, and when to know that if you're having a struggle or if you're having a conflict with a friend, neighbor, family member, when it might be time to seek a neutral party to help you mediate the conflict.
Okay, thank you. We have 50 seconds left. If anyone else would like to add in.
One goal I'd like for 2014 is that we have a physical event in Asheville, whether it be at the Asheville Art Museum or someplace else. A specific goal for 2014, in my mind, is to have some sort of celebration in Asheville.
Okay. Just another goal that I would throw out there is that everyone who is committed to these calls is also doing things that they enjoy doing within this project, to make sure that we can all flourish together, as opposed to taking on some things like I'm so grateful, Lauren, that you're taking on the focus of the technical side, because that just frustrates me. I don't understand it. It just takes a long time, and so anyhow, I'm grateful for that. And so I would just, as we're moving forward, kind of allowing, again, for a goal. This is my own kind of personal goal, but that we all have our own interests that are also being able to be guided with our own strengths and talents. So that being said, I'm going to cut myself off because we're over. so thank you, Vicki. We'll be coming back. Since you're going to be leaving a little bit earlier, would you like to? What would your SMART goal that you would like to commit to be?
Well, I'm going to read the Meeting Hero notes that you helped me with, Mark. I'll send you just a little bit to get it started. I need to hear everybody else. I mean, sure. I spent some time showing how peace is profitable. Mm-hmm. So, but really, without hearing the rest, I don't know how I can help move this forward.
Perfect. Well, and I know the last week we had an opportunity to kind of connect a little bit more together, and we can kind of co-work on this project together. So wonderful. Okay, thank you so much. We'll go over to Lauren now. Lauren.
Wonderful. My goal was co-creating with Ben. He really was mentoring me in this one, and I was to read about Luna guitars, get a feel for their culture, and reach out to a gentleman that Ben introduced me to named Dennis, and I completed the SMART goal.
Fantastic. Yes. All right. Well, wonderful. So, what is the question or what is the comment or topic that you would like to focus on for the
I'm
remainder
going
of
to ask
your time?
Ben to jump in because he's also been in contact with Yvonne and has been moving the ball forward as well. So Ben, I'm not punting, but I'm asking, what should my SMART goal be? So I'm going to let the group craft my SMART goal, please.
Cool. If you're asking in terms of Luna, and it feels like you might be asking for a suggestion in terms of a SMART goal for Luna, I tend to shy away from the word should because I don't like to should all over anybody.
Okay.
And with Luna, I'm hopeful that they might be open to the possibility of two things. One would be to give an instrument, to donate 2 instruments to a peace activity, and the other is that they might be, in what ways they might be open to us selling Luna instruments, or as they like to call their line with peace symbols, their instruments for peace, where we could take a percentage of it and use that as a fundraiser for peace nonprofits. And
Sure.
the answer to both questions from them might be no and no. You know, it might be no, they're not willing to donate 2 instruments, and no, that they are not open to us selling instruments their way. But if you could ask Dennis those 2 could find out if we can move forward with that or if we should go in a different direction.
Okay, and if he says yes, I'm interested, and let's say they also were able to do a smaller run, and we can sort of determine what that is. Are we going to be suggesting a design? Because Luna is very focused on the artistry, the laser etching done on these beautiful fronts of the guitars. Are we going to suggest something that is evocative of a particular purpose or of the day? I mean, they have their own piece designs. What does the group think?
My personal element is to throw as few moving parts in as possible and to use the existing piece instruments that they have as what we would sell, that we would sell something that they have. It would be wonderful to find out if they could customize something, and if, for instance, if we were to get involved with University of North Carolina, Asheville, could they write UNCA on, on one of their designs where they've got that space? Yvonne just recently put her own design into the mix that is what she called, I think, a 60s style piece design. And so I certainly would love the opportunity to champion her work. But I'm not committed to selling piece instruments. It simply is an idea, and I think could be a way to help bring people together, because people certainly have come together in the name of music and peace in the past. And last year we raised money with Dog Tag Art, and this year we're not in a position to work with Dog Tag Art in the same way because of them going in different directions. But while I'm not committed to having a fundraiser this year, I think fundraisers can often be a fun, groovy way to raise money for peace initiatives and get more people involved.
Sure. There are other people in the group that either have suggestions or feelings about involving Luna or the concept of bringing together an instrument and some students and the ability to work with both tribes, right? Because Luna has a very wonderfully active tribe that is energetic and takes pictures of what they do and what their moments are like. And giving moments of peace and of gratitude is something that I would see fitting right in with what their culture does.
If anyone else has any suggestions, I have a thought, but I'd like to just make sure that everyone else has an opportunity to speak. Okay, so something that Vicki and I talked about, and something that she was recapping in, was identifying who is our target, and so really looking at the healthcare field, if that's who we're going to be going after. I think that would make a better or an idea of who is our focus. So is our focus, people that are musicians? Because if that's going to be our focus, then that might be a whole lot better as a connector piece for Luna Guitars. If there is some sort of synergy between the music department of some sort of school and tying that in. So that was just a thought that I had as we were kind of more clearly defining who is it that we're approaching. How can we kind of target that and make sure that, okay, this is who we're going to be talking about. And if there's so many students that as you were just mentioning too, I like the idea of somehow being involved in a conversation and that's already happening. And I know that's something that I always appreciate about Ben is just really being able to look at some of those things that are happening out there and really being able to be a part of some of those things. So I would almost have to take a question back of really identifying who's the target. How does this kind of align with that?
I have some comments and some ideas, but one of my SMART goal was to find some of those trains as well. And so I was looking at the UNCA campus, and I was looking at the Nonprofit Arts Council down here and things like that. But that I don't really want to jump into my 7 minutes while we're still talking about this. But yeah, there are some different avenues. There's some different people and some contacts around here. But yeah, my biggest questions were what is our target, what is our market, and what are we, for lack of a better word, selling?
Mm-hmm. Perfect. Well, and I think that's a great transition here because that was just kind of finishing up the 7 minutes. So we'll come back to you on your SMART goal, Lauren. But thank you for your questions. So Michelle, it's a great transition there. So how about if you'd like to just jump in there and you could begin your 7 minutes, I'll begin the timer now.
Okay. Like I said, my SMART goals were to find those trains, those people that are already doing this, so we're not reinventing the wheel. Right. I liked what Ben said about the world waves doing it at noon. That's what and Vicki had said that she looked up the UN site. I did as well. They do a moment of silence at noon that would tie in. They're already doing it. We would just be quiet and stand up.
We might have lost it.
There's an organization in Asheville called peacetownasheville.org, and they do something every year as well. So they're already doing something like that. The Carnegie Foundation in D.C. does local forums, or not local forums, but they do forums. They get people together, and it's a way to collect pledges and do discussions and things like that. So what I was doing, I was going to look at Reddit, and so I did create a little subreddit. It's really difficult to get the word out there about something like that, especially because Reddit can be an extremely sarcastic community, but there's a lot of people that do look into other avenues there. So I think that that's a way, if we want, depending on how wide the market is, that's something that we can pursue. But I went ahead and created a little subreddit. I don't know if any of y'all are on Reddit, but it's Peace on Us. There is the professor of humanities. He also teaches constitutional law at UNCA. He is a member of the Peace Research Institute of Oslo. And so what I was doing was I was finding people to connect with, and once we had a concrete idea of what we were doing and what we were putting out there, then I wanted to get in touch with them. And with the Arts Council, I have already talked to the executive director and asked to meet with her once we have a goal. So those were the things that I was doing. Those were my SMART goals, were to find those trains and see how we could jump on there. But I like what Vicki said last time about finding out the end goal and then working backwards.
Perfect.
And that's what I was looking for. And I also have a question. What are the categories of questions? I'm a little unclear on, what would you say, what category would your question fall under? I'm unclear on that.
Well, one of the categories, and thank you for that. But one of the questions could be just on marketing, or one of it could be just yeah. I mean, so it would be a general kind of umbrella of what it is, and then kind of the specifics of it.
I didn't know if it was a specific Carnegie thing.
Yeah, Carnegieism.
Right.
No, but thank you for that. That's a great question, and I think that that's definitely something worthwhile, and I think that that's a good resounding theme for our call today. Essentially, is this outcome, is this goal? So thank you for posing that question again. So I'll continue the conversation here with the rest of the group. So who would like to continue with the continuous goals here?
Does Michelle have more time, or are you asking for a volunteer to go next?
I'm asking. Oh yes, I'm asking for volunteers. So yeah, there's a little over 3 minutes left here for Michelle's time. So we're just the question is really kind of what are some of the other additional goals that what's our outcome?
So Michelle, one thing that I would love for you to perhaps choose is where we might want to have the live event in Asheville. Because Galen, while he lives in Asheville, is moving away, and we don't need to decide right now. But in some ways, I love the idea about seeking to create an event on UNCA as opposed to the Asheville Art Museum. In other ways, it might be fun to have this event at the Asheville Area Arts Council and spill onto the street. We don't need to decide now. And we've got a few people that are willing to bring child games to wherever we have the physical event here in Asheville.
Okay, so thank you. So additional figuring out the venue of where this is going to be. Fantastic. I think the other question that you had really was what are we selling, and what are we really? What is the end product? Is that another distinction or question that you had?
Right. I hate to try to package peace, but
yeah.
You know.
I think it's a great question. Last year I was thrilled that we were able to have Peace Day trend, and so that was, to Vicky's question, that was a specific explicit goal last year, was an awareness goal, and it was that level of awareness. I don't know if we want to have a local goal and a global goal. I'm open to any of these things.
Okay. Well, I'm guessing that my SMART goal for next week would be to talk with you a little more, maybe over email or get together and choose locations and venues for something that could be local. I'm also going to, if we can come up with what the end goal is with this meeting, then I can contact those people that I'm trying to get in touch with and and forward that. And I'm Lauren. I'm an artist, and I can draw anything. So if you need somebody to collaborate with the Luna guitars, and I like the idea of the the groovy instrumental thing, and Vicky's idea with the Beatles, and I think that it can come together. But that's something that I have as a resource to be able to do.
Wonderful.
I really can draw just about anything.
Perfect. And we have 30 seconds left, so thank you. And maybe just as a follow-up for us all, I don't know if this is speaking out of turn here, but maybe each one of us can really identify more of those goals that we're all thinking that would benefit the group. I mean, I like the idea of having what are those local goals and then the national goals, and maybe within the community it really is this moment of inner peace for the next on that day, a certain amount of time spent with loved ones to enjoy peace. Just something that we all can tangibly look at and trend on Twitter. So that's just another thought. So I'm gonna put that down as something that I will be committing to, is just looking at what are some of those goals.
I'm also interested in the healthcare aspect of it too.
Okay.
My husband's a chiropractor. I've talked to different healthcare providers in the area quite often. So.
Great. Okay. Fantastic. Well, moving on, and in an interest to save time here, I'm going to make sure that we're able to finish up on time as well. We're going to shift it to a little bit of everyone gets 6 minutes here. So, John, would you like to start off with your question? I know you weren't here last week, but what would you like for us to focus on?
Wow, that's a good question, and I think. I think in trying to wrap my head around what we are attempting to accomplish, I think finding a goal is really important. I guess I can echo that as a sentiment of something that I'd like to focus on and see the group focus on as well. But what, as far as finding peace on a local level, what that's something that I would really like to see some focus on as well. Those things that you can do in your community to have peace and kind of live the way you see the world, or live the change that you want to be.
Like that.
And also. I'm very interested in the peace within nature as well. So I guess I don't really have as much of a question, but just kind of a statement of focus.
Okay. So is that something that, as you're looking at this next week or so, is that something you really that's your SMART goal is to identify which of those that you would like to focus on? Or I guess I'm just, as we get more clear on your SMART goal for next week.
Right, and that could be, I could certainly make that into a SMART goal. Which of those would be, more workable for me to focus on? As far as resources go, I can safely say that if we have an event, I can provide youth to be at the event.
Mm-hmm. Wonderful.
And that would be something that I would be willing to do if that would help with our goals.
Yeah.
And I think, so I'll make that as a SMART goal. I think figuring out which one of those parts would be easier or would be more workable for me to focus on.
I like that idea. And then again, that becomes part of how many youth can we have, and what is it that the youth can share within or within their families as they go home, and kind of continuing to spread peace as that goes on. So I like that idea. If that's an opportunity that you have, again, bringing that opportunity of looking at those speeding trains that we all have in our lives to make sure that we have connections there. So wonderful. Okay. All right. Well, thank you. So, Galen, how about we shift over to you?
Sure. To make this efficient, where did I get cut off earlier when I was updating?
When you were updating, just before the call?
Yeah.
Let's pretend like you're starting from brand new because people weren't here, and it would be great to have it on the recording. So if you don't mind starting from scratch, I'll be grateful, Galen.
Sounds good. So I just spent the last week and a half in Boulder, Colorado. I was on a flight at the time of the last call, so I didn't have a explicit SMART goal, but my goal was to attend this gathering of what ended up being 55, 60 young social innovators, people working in entrepreneurship, education, design, nonprofit, social activism, kind of you name it. A convergence of people all across the country in these different sectors, looking at how you do good and do good. How do you make money while having a positive social impact on the world? And most of them were in the 18 to 35-year-old range. We had one 17-year-old phenom who sort of stole the show. I was there kind of exploring a few different projects that I've been involved with and the potential for them, and made several contacts for what we're working on here, all of which will require follow-up conversations. They were usually someone saying, oh, you've got to talk to this person, and I haven't had a chance to do that yet because I was too busy talking to the people right in front of me. So in the coming week, I'm going to be reaching out to 2 individuals in Portland who are working on a film called Demonstrate Peace. Two young men who have obviously a videographer background, which I imagine could be valuable as we seek to spread the word. They're particularly interested in the fairly traditional concept of peace versus war, but who knows what could come of that conversation in other directions. There's also a person in a project called One World Summit, which is a very ambitious goal to bring people together in different ways online over the next several years. They kind of share our short-term, immediate, what can you do toward a longer-term goal. And peace is only one part of their equation, but definitely could be some cool collaborations there. They're based out of Australia, as well as now kind of having a Boulder hub, and are going to be doing all sorts of online and in-person gatherings in coming months and years. And I'm good friends with their founder now, so something could come of that. And also, the one I know the least about is a contact from Starting Block event in Boulder. Has a brother who's involved in peace studies at a Costa Rican university, which piqued my interest just because of Ben's pre-existing tie to a school there. This sounded like a more traditional academic approach, but could be something if we want to build Costa Rica as a multidimensional base for this project. So lots of conversations to come, and I think those will be informed by what we decide about who our current and long-term targets and for partners and are.
Yes, and thank you for that. Thank you for the update. Appreciate that, and sounds like a bunch of great people out there in Colorado. One thing that I'm seeing as kind of an undercurrent that's kind of riding through this whole thing is the youth here, the UNC. John in mentioning his connection to youth, your connection to youth. So I'm wondering if I know that Ben has a gentleman, David Guerrero, and his connection to ASU, and both Vicky and my connection here within just the proximity of ASU. So I'm not steering in any way, shape, or form. I'm just kind of wanted to share that as an observation as we're going through this and as we're deciding. And as we look at the goals, over this next week, objective, looking at that, that we're each thinking about what that really is. But again, just noticing that as a consistent pattern here that's showing up.
Yeah, absolutely, and whether that is a long-term goal or maybe just a good launch pad, a fertile starting point.
Right. Yeah, we have a long runway to 2020, but it is beginning. So wonderful.
I gotta say, just there was a little the marketing side of my mind did have a little perk up when we were talking about UNCA, and just given Peace Day's origin with the UN. There could be some powerful alignment there, as if we were starting with a UNC collaboration, having some fun with the similar acronyms there.
Great. Okay. Well, and as we just refine this more, Michelle, what was that?
I said I like that.
Neat. Wonderful. All right. Well, great. Well, thank you, Galen. We're going to shift back over to Ben now for his 6 minutes. So. Ben, thank you, Galen, and Ben, take it away.
Great. So yes, I did my SMART goal, which was two SMART goals. One was to invite new people to this mastermind, and we had Lauren show up and volunteer to be our technical director, so thank you, Lauren. And then the other element was to put in one page something completely open.
Kind of breaking up. Not sure if we've lost Ben or not.
Possibility.
Oh, there he is. Nope, he's back.
Was I hearable, or did that go? Did you not hear what I was just saying?
It paused for a bit, and now you're back.
Okay.
So it was
Fantastic.
Probably for the last 30 seconds.
Okay. So in terms of my second SMART goal was to create a one sheet where I explained the idea of the pledge drive, the 2020 pledge drive. And I sent an email to everyone, and I have no idea if this is the type of thing that Michelle might feel comfortable bringing to UNCA, or Galen might feel comfortable bringing to the college campuses that he's working with. But the idea in my mind was twofold. One is to create this idea of a movement of people making pledges by 2020. And then the other element was to be able to build an email list where we could invite people to remind people to be involved on Peace Day, but possibly also to offer them, for instance, a peace-themed Luna guitar where we get 30% of the profit that winds up going towards different fundraisers or those kinds of elements.
Okay.
My question for the group is input. I don't know if you guys have had a chance of looking at that one-pager, which is just a draft. I am in no way a graphic designer, nor an internet marketer, nor a copywriter, but perhaps the easiest advice to me would be, hey, Ben, I love that notion of the pledge drive by 2020, but it's got too many moving pieces. Let's just focus on getting people willing to show up to celebrate peace. I don't know.
Anyone on the in the group would like to comment on that? Has anyone had an opportunity to look at it and review?
I did. I have a couple questions. Maybe I'm jumping the gun a little bit here, but would you want a minimum limit to the pledge? Would people want to? Would you want them to have sponsors? How would that work?
Fantastic question. In my mind, whatever somebody thought that they were doing that would be creating a face of peace would be a good enough minimum amount for them to make a pledge. It was a way of getting people engaged in looking at things in the future. There was a vocabulary word that I learned at ASU that's called a fictive. And the notion of a fictive is that you take a positive future and reverse engineer it. And so I was looking for a way that we could create a positive future, create a better 2020.
Okay.
And then, when somebody entered their name and what their pledge was on the next page, on the thank you page, we would, ask them for their email address and to include them on the email. And then once that went through, I imagine that we would say, hey, would you like to buy the ebook that includes your pledge by 2020 for 99 cents? And an idea in my mind is that of that 99 cents, a third of it goes to nonprofits. A third of it goes to whoever sent the email, like UNCA or ASU or different nonprofit organization that might send an email, and a third of it goes towards the core producers, which I was actually having an idea in my mind that perhaps 50% went to an entrepreneur that helped us make it happen, and 50% went to you guys as part of this peace group. That might be too many complicated things to try and unpack in this simple conversation, but that was some of where my head was going.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, that was my third question: is where would the money go?
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Great. Well, and so I think many of these things, and these are great conversations, and thank you, Vicki, for taking care of this through the Meaning Hero here. We'll have an opportunity to get the feedback of what everyone has had an opportunity to say. But looking at really where we're going and the goals. So thank you for your feedback there, Ben, and your question. And your SMART goal for next week?
Uh, um, uh, my SMART goal for next week is threefold. One is to meet with Michelle and answer all questions she might have. Another is to meet with Lauren and create a strategy for questions with Dennis and Luna guitars. And a third goal for myself is going to be to provide to you guys a proposed outline for how a 1 hour Google Hangout around noon might present itself. A
Okay.
possible structure for a 1 hour show.
Great. Thank you. All right. Wonderful. Well, I'm going to, in an interest to keep on time here, as Vicki and I are working together on many of these projects here. We did say, yeah, she answered yes to our SMART goal, and yes, we did work through kind of focusing in on the overall objective. And what I would almost like to say, and the majority of what we talked about today was really this goal and objective, and so I'd like to recommit to that as well as kind of thinking about what is the overall objective here. And what I'm also seeing is, you know, people individually really standing out in their own respective, you know, Michelle saying she's the artist, and Lauren being the technical director, and John having the connection to youth. And, you know, I would say one of the things that Vicki and I talked about was really identifying who will be kind of overall seeing and managing the project. Because we have a lot of, I know personally, I'm an artist myself, not necessarily graphically, but just, you know, there's a lot of different ideas that I have. So just kind of overall, you know, who are some of the people that would like to kind of oversee and making sure that once we get these objectives and once we get these goals, how do we as Ben just mentioned, effective work backward from the end goal. So I'd like to think a little bit about, you know, who that group and where we might be able to put some of those areas together. So I'd like to, you know, this week for my SMART goal, commit to a focus on, you know, the other objectives and the goals for the group, as well as figuring out the overall manager kind of to make sure that we stay on task and stay on the timelines to make sure that as September rolls around that we're going to be on task. So that is a real truncated version of my focus here, but I want to make sure that we are able to finish here on time. So I'm going to finish.
Question? I'm sorry.
Yes, go ahead.
Because you triggered it, and I think it was John that said he has all these connections to youth. But if we're designing something and we're trying to say the target audience and the goals, which we've spent this call on, should we not ask the youth what they would want to see? And would Mark want to take that on?
I love that. Yeah, I love that. That's a great idea. It's a great question. Now, me personally, I don't have a lot of connections to youth. So as far as me taking that on, I think it's a great idea. But John, would you like to, you know, as you're talking with some? Yes, he's raising his hand. I was saying that's an affirmative.
Yeah, that's an affirmative.
Okay.
And I can kind of make that. I guess I can have a second SMART goal on that and get some feedback from youth.
Wonderful. Okay, thank you. And so we'll just finish with the Carnegie closing, the covenant script here. I want to just thank everyone that has really participated today. I really feel like we're making a lot of progress here as we're taking this overall goal and breaking it really down specifically. So thank you for everyone's participation and your commitment to making sure that this Google Hangout goes off. So thank you, Lauren, for making that happen, and Ben for committing and getting all the seats filled here. So I look forward to speaking with you in the next 2 weeks. But we'll finish up with, again, the script here. I now have a covenant in which it is agreed that the Mastermind shall supply me with an abundance of all things necessary to live a success-filled and happy life. I dedicate myself to be of maximum service to God, to live in a manner that will set the highest example for others to follow, and to remain an open channel. I go forth with a spirit of enthusiasm, excitement, and expectancy. Thank you, everyone. We'll see you in 2 weeks.
Thanks.
Thanks, Mark.
All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, bye.
Thank you all.